Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to our monthly show, our program, our meeting. Tonight it's a little bit freewheeling. We're going to be discussing Three Eye Atlas. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have been kind of following it because Avi Loeb obviously said he thought it might be extraterrestrial in nature, but there's a lot of controversy going on about it. And a lot of the scientists are very conservative in their approach, and none of them are going with the extraterrestrial uh, intelligently designed vehicle that Avi said it could be. With that being said, however, there are 15 anomalies that are associated with the object. It does look like now that it definitely is not of intelligent design, but we probably won't know until another month, a month or so, when the object actually enters Saturn's or Jupiter's space, specifically at the Lagrange point, where they said if it is intelligently designed based upon its trajectory throughout the solar system, that it could be dropping off probes, various number of probes. Not saying it definitely is, but that would be the ideal location of which it's going to be pretty much spot on to that Lagrange point. So we won't know more until March about that. Anybody want to comment? Any sense that they have with the three eye atlas? Anybody? Camille, would you like to comment or a question? Oh, you're muted.
I was following a little bit of what Carrie Cassidy and Richard Hoagland, of all people, were saying back a month or two ago, but I haven't been following the latest on it.
And anybody else? Bruce Carnett, I see you've joined.
Yes. Hi, Joe. It just brings to mind when they're talking about probes that aliens are very good at probes.
I kind of thought Camille would laugh at that one. Camille, I'm not going to talking about what you're planning on talking about next month. But if you want to jump in on anything here, Bruce just gave you an opportunity. If you want to give a little bit of a blurb about your background with the alien.
Sure. Well, I am a experiencer from possibly childbirth, but I'm 59 years old now, and I first became aware of all this in 1995 at the age of 29 or 28, something like that. And so my experiences include what I would call abductions by seemingly extraterrestrial beings that were very medical oriented, some kind of fetus removal procedure, a triangular puncture wound array put on my leg, and then I had an object my dentist found in my tooth, which when I did a regression to that to figure out what that was, I ended up having what's called a MyLab memory, a military abduction memory. And I have an uncle that worked for NASA all his life under Werner von Braun, and I have his daughter, my cousin, works for NASA still. So there's a little bit that I want to discuss with just a variety of experiences. I've also had an out of body experience that was pretty wild with light beings. It was very positive. So the variety of experience, and then the why me factor. Is it genetic? Is it because of my negative blood type? Is it my Scottish Irish ancestry? Is it my NASA uncle? Did I put in a program? I don't know. So just throwing out some ideas about all of these things coming together. That's it.
Yeah, Camille, that's very telling. First of all, I have some similar aspects to my background. My dad was an AB negative person, and he had several of the traits that they associated with the Basques.
Yes.
So we definitely have that aspect. Also, as far as abduction or interaction, there have been several instances of that. Not as specific and deep as yours, but still interesting asides, similarities that I'm sure that if we start stitching these all together, a pattern shows up, and something that maybe the scientists will eventually be able to add to the body of knowledge, especially now with what's coming out of Washington. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. We look forward to next month when you go into great detail.
Thanks.
Mindy, hi, how you doing? Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Joe. I'm
Oh,
doing well.
wow.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You made another year.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
so
68.
congratulations.
Wow.
Actually, we have another, I'm going to call him a newbie. We have Frank, are you still on?
I am, yes. Hi.
Okay. So we have a couple members from the uh, aviation industry here. One a reporter on aviation related instances. Anything on UFOs?
No, no, not really. Very conventional aircraft, and well, unconventional in some ways.
Okay.
A lot of, no.
Any specific areas that you are interested in hearing about?
The three-eye atlas thing is interesting for the whole discussion of it. What sets it apart from other objects? What's happening right now? We talked about the Lagrange point. We're talking about the halfway point to the moon. Was that it?
Well, it's not halfway. It's actually an area where gravity has an influence
That was.
on
So
orbital.
why
Where
would that be a good spot for it to release any kind of probe or any kind of standalone vehicle?
Well, actually, because the aspect of being able to launch and propel something, especially if you wanted to study Jupiter, for instance, you're now within the a gravity area of Jupiter, so you could launch a lot of probes, and it wouldn't take that much to get them to wherever you may want them. If Jupiter is in fact an object that they would want to study. For instance, we now have almost 6,000 exoplanets that we're aware of. And these exoplanets, if you start looking at them with the technologies that they're using, whether it's whatever telescopes we're using, they have sensors on them, and they'll give you indications of rocky planets, atmosphere, size of the planets, and so on. So if they're looking at the largest of the planets in our solar system, Jupiter and Saturn, of course, would fit that bill. And because the interesting thing, obviously, about Three Eye Atlas is that it came in on right on our planetary plane, at 5 degrees off. That's pretty amazing. I mean, if it's pure luck, it's kind of hard to hit it that close so that you can, in theory, see most of the planets. So Jupiter seems to be the main focal point of this particular orbit, and it's passing as it leaves the solar system, it will pass close to our largest planet. So if they're going to study it, that would be a good way of doing it. I don't know if that answers the question, but the
It
Lagrange.
does. It does. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Joe?
So the Lagrange point for the James Webb Telescope, that is located at a Lagrange point as well. Not Jupiter's, but actually Earth's.
Joe, I think that its alignment with our solar plane might imply that if it is under intelligent control, whoever is controlling it has been here before.
Yeah, matter of fact, Avi Loeb, I believe, said it may not have actually come from outside of our solar system. It may have actually come from within the confines of our solar system. There's a lot of questions. First of all, the 15 anomalies that they talk about, yes, each of them are considered an anomaly, but are they absolute? Are they smoking gun? No, absolutely not. The one that I find most compelling is the fact that that 3-eye atlas, actually they tracked it back in the direction that it came from, was also the direction in January of 1978 was the wow signal that they picked up came from the location. That was per Abbey Loeb. So that I found quite interesting, even though it was never validated as an alien signal because it didn't pass the protocols. And the protocol is specific about whether they can declare something extraterrestrial or not be able to declare it at all.
Is that in the area of M13?
The Sagittarius.
Hercules or Sagittarius?
Yes. It could be N13, but I know it's Sagittarius is the way it was described. Okay, anything else? Oh, wait a minute. I got some more people coming in here. Bear with me. Welcome everybody who's joined. We have started, so anyway, we're continuing on. Okay, any other comments or concerns or more about?
Is that a cat, Bruce?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Another diva.
And Bruce did bring up the picture. Excuse me.
Joe, it's Nick. The sound is not great on your end. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that too, but here in Manhattan, it's not great sound. I don't know if anything can be done about it, but I just thought I'd say it.
Okay.
I have good sound.
Good sound here. Time to move, Nick.
Yeah, hold on a second, Bill. Hold on. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Everybody can hear me?
What are you doing, a Verizon commercial?
Yeah, I was about ready to say that too, Bruce.
I hear you fine.
I hear you fine.
Okay.
5x5, Joe.
The radio parlance, it's 5 by 5.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah, Bill. Excuse me.
for the last 15 minutes, I've been trying to get on this bloody account. Well, I give it the password and everything, and won't let me join the meeting.
Okay. Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
want to handle for a couple minutes? Bill Weber
Sure.
getting in. So.
Sure. It's interesting with relation to, I think, the bigger picture of anything that we're investigating. Joe and I have had this discussion, but not that I am any expert on it, but in some ways I am after a half a century in media and broadcasting. I don't think you're able to discern anymore with any clarity what is real and what is not in terms of video that you see. Audio and video now through AI is so ubiquitously able to be faked that it's going to make the things we do in investigative circles so much more difficult because it's really going to be impossible. And I mean this quite literally. I would recommend to you, and I'll put it in the chat, listening to the podcast by a lady by the name of, let me think of her name now, Julia McCoy. She does a regular podcast. She's an expert, great overviews and information from around the world on AI and the developments, and also, interestingly, quantum computing. She's done a couple fantastic presentations on that. The point I'm making is that the impact of AI in the field of journalism, in media, and certainly in the investigative things that we do, no matter what the topic or the area of interest, is really going to make it impossible unless you know the provenance and the chain of custody of the footage or the interviews or whatever. I don't know how we're going to get around it. And I'll give you an example. And the reason I bring this up is there have been numerous video clips posted on, and I'm not sure what platforms they've been on specifically because I don't want to misstate the facts, um, of Michio Kaku talking about 3A Atlas, um, to the point that he finally spoke up and said, "Hey, none of this is me," and it's like on a daily basis. And that's
Right.
just a microcosm of what we're going to face. You know, years ago, I actually, my partner and I, in a company that did aviation documentaries predominantly, accepted the first, if anybody remembers the Avid editing systems, nonlinear editing systems, it was the late 90s, I guess, out of Boston. Avid started with nonlinear editing when we were still doing tape-based editing. We had the first Avid Media Composer ever shipped out of Boston. And I taught for 3 years nonlinear editing. And a lot of the time I spent on some of these investigative shows was as an expert. I have a degree in broadcast engineering to come on and say, yeah, this is an overlay. You can see the aliasing when they overlay something on top of video. In those days, it was not too tough to discern. If you had the right equipment, you could do it. Today, absolutely impossible. And people ask me this all the time from, the paranormal shows that I've been on and all the range of things. Is this real or is it faked? And, we have to step back, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but this is
I'm back, Bruce.
yeah, let me let you take it over, Joe. But I was just going to say the onion that we are trying to unfold is so complex. You have the majority of people are not experts in investigations and in this field, and that's not to denigrate anybody, but it's hard to do, and you're doing it on the side. They're not getting paid for it. Sometimes rightly and sometimes wrongly. We chastise people that, charge or try to make $1 to pay their bills for what they do, and unfortunately, we all have to live in the real world. I don't know that sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's not. But then we have misinformation, disinformations, the doties of the world who have gone out there, the folks that, never a straight answer folks. So it's a very hard hill to climb, and I've been doing it since, I worked in the CBS affiliate in Roswell 2 years before any of the books or anything came out on it. So I've been doing this for a long time. I try to stay out of the limelight, but that being said, AI has, in my mind, it's very depressing because I think it makes it almost impossible for proper discernment and evaluation of video or audio, unless you know where it came from. I open that up to you. I'm just throwing that out because to me, that's a very pressing problem. Like we don't have enough others in this world. I'll shut up.
Bruce, in relation to what you've just said concerning AI, one thing that I discovered with the advent of digital recordings, etc., cameras, you name it, is that before all of that came dominant in the early 2000s, I was doing everything with analog. All my hundreds of photographs were all with analog film. Even the videos were all analog. And so it's much more difficult to fake analog than it is digital.
I'm going to ask right here. I'd like to ask Camille's perspective on, because this is her profession, the technology that's being used in film and video and TV. Have you noticed anything coming out with the artificial intelligence? Is it something that you would feel somewhat threatened by, or is it something that could be embraced? What are your thoughts?
It's threatening to actors because they can replace actors. So I'm an actor. I'm not a behind the scenes person. So yes, it is threatening. And there have been strikes over it and such. So I'm not technically savvy with describing the nitty-gritty of all that, but I would say we have so much coming out about not only UFO interactions and UFOs in the sky and everywhere else, but history. And there's so much good technology that's helping to uncover things like deep underground scanning, finding the things under the pyramids that can revolutionize archaeology. So that's something to look forward to from the technology. But yes, it's going to be. I'm glad my stuff came out in the 90s and I had photographs and things going back to that era, the late 90s. But it is going to be challenging. But I think the whole world paradigm is going to be overturned in so many different areas that it's a much bigger problem than UFOs. You're going to have video that's coming out from, say, Epstein Island, and you're going to have people saying that's a deep fake. And how are you going to prove the reverse? How are you going to prove that it's real?
Good point.
So not only will they be able to fake things, but they'll be able to look at something that's genuine, that could be criminal, and say, oh, you made that with AI. So it's a whole big can of worms.
Yeah, thank you. Matter of fact, it's gone to the point, I don't know about the rest of you, when you go out to YouTube and you look on the right-hand side and you see all of those different videos, some of them are very tantalizing. I mean, the headlines are something, they're eye-openers. But then you get in and you look at it and it sounds like it's real, it looks like it's real, and all of a sudden you have to sit there and say, wait a minute, why aren't I hearing this on Channel 2 News? Why am I only seeing it on YouTube? So yeah, it can be a total agreement with you. I think that's a real problem. And going forward, it's going to be a real problem. What about
Camille,
Yes.
you said that you became aware of your contact with non-humans in 1995.
Yes.
I became aware in 1992.
Hmm.
And I was curious as to what were the clues that made you think that you might be involved.
Well, in my first abduction memory from 95, I had 2 attacks of sleep paralysis in the same night after a UFO sighting, my first one ever over California in Silver Lake neighborhood of Los Angeles. I had a sighting with my boyfriend while walking the dog in broad daylight. And so this was December 95. And then I had this attack in my bed where I heard a voice say my name to my left, and it sounded electronic, which was frightening while I was in this paralyzed state. And I also saw a flash of a gun pointed at me that was very brief. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I've had sleep paralysis before, or very occasionally, but I've never had an associated sound or visual at the same time, all going on at once. And it was very frightening. So that was my first time. And then I did a regression. I also had no menstrual cycle for 3 months or 4 months. And so I did a regression to that with Barbara Lamb in the spring that following year. And I had an abduction memory of having a little tiny fetus taken out of me by these beings. And the whole thing, going through my ceiling in a blue beam of light. Next thing I knew, I was on this table with the white mistiness all around me with the beings. So I never saw the ship. I just went up, 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 and then I was in this white room. So I don't know if they took me astrally or physically or whatever, but I did have my menstrual cycle come back the following month, and I've had other experiences where I've had like the triangle on my leg. I went to a different therapist for that to get regressed. So a few things where I've had corresponding physical evidence. And then I go get regressed to get more of the memory. So I don't have conscious interface with the beings. I have clues that then send me to a hypnotherapist. And then the out of body experience I had was under hypnosis with Barbara Lamb. And that was wild. It was like a full on out of body experience, but in a hypnosis setting. So that's basically it. And then a lot of weird synchronicities and all that. But I'm thankful I haven't had conscious experience with the beings full on, because I think I would have lost my mind, and I was able to stay functional through all this. And I'm just glad and grateful, actually.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. One thing I'd like to just throw in here, I said that my awareness of my contact was after I saw the miniseries on television called Intruders by Bud Hopkins and Dr. John Mack. And I was shocked that to see this type of information on, evening television, and that this I'd never seen before. So since they advertised the book, I went to the bookstore and asked, the manager if he had this book, and he did. And he said, well, you might want to pick up this other book called Silent Invasion by by Ellen Crystal. And I did. And I was shocked when I read it because it was about all of the UFO activity around my house. Around my house, right in, within 10 miles of where I lived at the time in Middletown, New York. And so that made me wonder, how is it possible that this is happening? And what is even more difficult for me to understand is how I could have ignored a um, a contact with aliens and their craft at my the Bailey well site in Richmond, Virginia, in 1981, when my entire crew saw the craft come in, saw a beam of light come down to their trailer where I was sleeping at night, and abducted me. And they saw me, little beings carrying me up into the craft, and then saw me being brought back. And I had asked them because they had seen something the night before that if the UFO comes back, please come and get me. And when I woke up in my bunk, I was in a lot of pain and hypothermic. And I crawled out of my bunk and went to the door of the mudlogging trailer and opened it. And nobody was standing on the drilling rig. This was a 24/7 drilling rig. And I said, no, somebody should be there. Why are they not? Why is the rig just turning in neutral gear? And I turned around the corner and saw the entire crew standing in the corner of the well site, looking up at these lights in the sky that took on the form of a disc. And as soon as I saw that, the craft took off, and everybody returned to their workstations. And as the mudlarkers were coming back into the mudlarking trailer, I said, "What are you watching out there, Rick?" And Rick said, "We're watching a UFO." And I said, "Didn't I ask you to come and get me? I didn't want to miss it." And he said, "We did, but you weren't there."
Wow.
And I dragged him back to the back of the trailer and I said, "Did you look in this bunk?" He said, "Yes." And you were not in that bunk. And I couldn't handle it, Camille. I could not, I did not want to go back until 1992 and get regressed back to 81 and find out what really happened. Even though I wrote down a lot of what they told me, that the crew told me in my logbook, and I put that online on my well site on well site abduction. But they specifically went after me. All right, and that was only 6 years after Travis Walton was taken.
I feel for you. I do. A lot of us feel like we have a certain target. I recently went to Ireland and I had never been, and it was beautiful. And I'm part Irish and I just loved every minute. But we slept at a haunted house one night. I mean, a haunted hotel. It had been an insane asylum for 150 years. As soon as I pulled up, I knew it was an asylum. It was beautiful, but scary. And sure enough, I was on a big bus tour with 50 people. And my friend and I, in our room, sleeping in separate beds, I had the ghost event. And I had never had one before. And I had a ghost come at me in the bed, scratching my sheets. And I scratched back at it on my sheets like this. And then I went tap, 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 like I hear you. And it poked me in the arm. And then I went crazy and I went, "Stop in the name of Jesus Christ." And it stopped. But it was so interesting because the next morning after I told the front desk and they went, "Yeah, we have those," I asked everybody on the tour and nobody else had had anything like that. And it woke me up with a full body goosebumps. I had the hair raised on my whole entire body. That's how I woke up. So I think it does feel weird when you feel like you are the one that can interface with these non-human things. I feel for you that night.
Okay. Anybody else have similar experiences? What we'll do, we're going to keep it brief and we're going to go through. I want to give everybody a shot here. So, anybody want to talk about their paranormal experience, similar to what Bruce and Camille had just related?
Yeah, please do. I want to hear about it.
Okay, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Great. Good to have you, everybody. This is such a good show. This is such a good program. I'm enjoying every minute of it. And thank everybody for sharing their experiences. It is fascinating, and it just underlines to everyone that we are not alone. We've never been alone. And every month, there's so much information coming out now that you could be on the YouTube for 24 hours. I mean, oh my God, there's a lot going on, and it's fascinating, and it's about time that we were getting this information. Just a quick thing. I was a kid. I was with my sister in the back of my father's and mother's car. My dad was driving. My mom was in front of me, and we were, I believe, in New Haven area. I'm sorry, New Hampshire. Sorry, New Hampshire area. And it was a Sunday, and we were doing one of our Sunday drives, which we do in New England when I was a kid. And I remember it was a normal day. We were talking, oh, look at that over there, but my father was driving not fast. It wasn't a highway. It was a smaller road, and he was going very, very slowly. And all of a sudden, something happened, and it was frightening. And I've always wondered if anybody ever had an experience like this. All of a sudden, again, I'm in the car in the back seat, and we're driving, and from the front to the back, this huge, hurtful force. It was like a mega electric wall, something like that, that absolutely went through the car, and it hit me hard and knocked me back. And I remember every pore of my skin felt like a needle. A needle was in my skin. It was so, and it was like in a second. And I got, not, I didn't get up, but I looked like, what the hell? And then another wave came. And then the only other thing I remember, again, it was in the afternoon, is I was on top, sitting on a car, my dad's car. My mother, my father, and my sister were gone. And I was there sitting in the car, and 1 foot from my face was a gray. 1 foot from my face. It was so frightening. I couldn't move my body. I'd never experienced anything like that before. I couldn't move my hands, anything. And I was just, it was, I believe it was a male, and it was just looking at me about a foot from but there was no communication, nothing like that. And I just remember on the side there was dark in the forest. And then the next thing I remember, we were in the car, my mother, father, my sister, and me, and my dad was very slowly driving back home, very late at night, and nobody was talking. And that's not normal for our family, but nobody was saying a word. We got home, and I remember nobody was talking then. And I remember my mother was locking and making sure all the blinds were closed, all the draperies were closed
Wow.
in the house. And about 30 years later, and this is the crazy part, it blanked. I forgot all of that, or somehow I was told to forget. And about 25 years at least, all of a sudden, what I just told you flooded back to me. Not in a dream. I was wide awake. Holy crap, it was all of a sudden. And it was, what I just told you was very real to me. And I wanted to, at the time, talk to my sister and my parents, and something said, don't you ever do that. Don't you ever mention it, because you'll hurt them badly. And to this day, my parents are now deceased, and my sister is still living. I've tried to talk to my sister. It just keeps saying, don't you dare. That's my story.
Well, thank you, Nick, for sharing that.
Okay, now also Karen Wallow has her hand up. Go ahead, Karen. Why don't you unmute?
Okay, hey. I'm actually still thinking about the AI conversation, let alone to get into all the paranormal experiences that I've been having since I'm a little girl, because they happen constantly, even 3 days ago. But just on the AI subject, Bruce, I agree with you 1,000%. I'm very concerned about it. I mean, it's kind of cool that we can get all this information, this chat GBT, and you can ask anything, and that part's interesting. But as an artist, I'm a painter and I'm a musician in a band, and AI is taking over, trying to take over those fields, which means we're going to be losing work, human beings. And I mean, people are losing work, to robots and things. It's just ridiculous. Like we're in the middle of a science fiction film, is what it feels like to me. And I don't know how anybody feels about Elon Musk, but I was liking him until I heard about this Neuralink thing where he wants to, put something in our brains so that we can just think about it and then just be on the computer or whatever. I mean, to me, that is like a sign of the end times. It really is. It's a sign that they want to turn us into machines. So that's it. Anyway, as far as experiences, I've had lots. I don't really have any, wild abduction story, but I've had orbs come through my wall. I've been paralyzed. I've, seen UFOs my whole life. I see ghosts constantly. And so I don't sleep too well because of all my experiences. So, but anyway, I don't want to hog time, so that's all I wanted to say.
A quick response about they have come up with a wand. The Roswell, one of the things that came out of Roswell ostensibly was the crown light thing that was worn on the head, and that's how supposedly the alien spacecraft was controlled. It was controlled by mind power. Now, apparently, after years and years, they actually developed something like that. The Neuralink that Elon Musk, you might say that's almost overcome by events because now they're at the point where they can actually inject the type technology directly into the brain through vaccines even.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and the human brain takes 5 watts of electricity to run the human brain. And it's also a radio. It operates in the frequency range around 5 or 6 gigahertz. So, all these things they're kind of coming to fruition, especially we're getting into quantum physics and quantum mechanics. Everything is kind of closing to the point where one thing is going to be similar to the others. That is scary because
Joe?
basically what's happening is we're reaching a point in transhumanism. Yes.
Joe, one
Yeah,
thing
that's
that
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
scares me a lot about AI is that it seems to be thinking with consciousness. Now, how is that possible? Unless these AIs are somehow tapping into a whole bank of people in a room with who are actually providing that consciousness.
Bruce, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Just today, they announced that they have 1.5 million synthetic synapses that I think Microsoft is experimenting with. The human brain is at 1.6 trillion, but they feel that pretty soon they're going to be there. And the context that this was all mentioned in was, is there a soul? And the argument is, well, no, it's not a soul. It's a function of the human brain or a function of the brain. And is that going to be replicated mechanically or through AI? Well, the thing is, if you have 1.6 trillion of these synapses, these synthetic synapses, and you're operating in the gigahertz range for processing, the argument is probably still going to be there because does that replicate a soul? And is the soul part of an intelligence? My guess is that they're going to find that it's still separate. But again,
Okay, but yeah, may I ask the group how many here on the Zoom have had an out-of-body experience and been consciously aware that you were out of your body and you could still think like you did as if you were in your body?
Okay,
I've been there. Yes.
That's tough to cover with one broad stroke in that, you define dreams. Okay, you might be thinking that or dreaming something, and then how do you interpret that to be an out-of-body experience where you can think? Because in dreams you can think.
Exactly.
Yes, very much.
So how do you differentiate between the two, Bruce?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to tell everybody, there is a company out there right now that I'm vested into. It was formed by a former field investigator for MUFON. The name of the company is called Naki Logic, and he has 15 patents on a device that you put like an earphone on your ear, and you can control computers and electromechanical devices by just thoughts or tilting your head or moving it up and down or side to side. He can type a letter. He can order stuff on Amazon without using his hands. He can mobilize a wheelchair and tell it to go left, right, forward, backward, stop without using his hands. Okay, he's demonstrated that, and this is going to be fantastic for veterans that are quadriplegics. And it's uh, it's in several years of development, and he's going to be coming up for an IPO pretty soon.
Thanks, Bill.
Wow.
How do you spell that word? The company.
Naki,
Mhm.
Naki Naki Logics. I know the guy, I know the designer. He was an investigator for MUFON. He was one of my team down in Delaware.
Cool.
Like this and the chat.
I'm sorry?
Check the chat on your screen. I just typed it in.
Let me see.
Machiologics.
I can't even see. No, N as in Mary, and Nancy, not Maki, Naki. And he got that name, believe it or not, from studying and using cuneiforms from the Anunnaki.
Yes.
NAQ Naki Logix.
Everybody get that? It is
Naki Logic.
go to the
Like
bottom.
that.
I'll type it in. Let me see.
I think it's in there already, Bill.
GIX.
Oh no, it's all misspelled.
Ah, there it is. Okay, Machiologics. Good.
Uh, that product is being offered. It's still available. I guess they're going on community funding, but it's available on a company called Start Engine that you can buy into shares. And he's going to be coming up for his IPO real soon.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Sure. When he explained this to me, I says, I'm in. I mean, this is incredible for what it can offer for quadriplegics and such that they can't communicate, easily, and all they have to do is just slight movements of their heads and eyes. And he's demonstrated that he's flown an airplane without using his hands. He's also played video games without using his hands, just by sitting and moving his head back and forth.
What did you say the name of the company was that Start Engines or something?
Start Engine is the company that is they're involved with a lot of startup companies, and they go out and provide the vehicle to allow you to invest into this company. Start Engine has nothing to do with this company other than they're the vehicle to be able to get an investment in with them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kate. I'm with Rotor. I'm Frank's wife, Kate. And I just had two things that I wanted to ask about. One is that you were mentioning Elon Musk, and I heard him speak at the big conference in Switzerland, Davos. And he is fully committed to the idea that we're alone in the universe and that the purpose of his companies is completely, or at least SpaceX, is to preserve human consciousness. And he said, if anyone should know about aliens, I should. And I just wondered if you all think that he's covering up for a connection that he may have with his businesses, or, what the story is about that.
Anybody care to weigh in on that? Who hasn't? Who hasn't? Okay, go ahead, Camille.
I just wonder. I wonder if he may know that these other beings, these non-human intelligences, are not actually aliens.
Mm-hmm.
One theory that they've been alongside us here the whole time. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. They're not extraterrestrial, in other words, but
from
yeah.
Camille, my contact with him, I've encountered 3 different types, and actually, I actually married one, and have children who fly the ships by one, and they have been here on Earth for millions of years, a lot longer than humans have been. So you're correct in that assumption. We are their children, so to speak.
We weren't the original habitats of the, again, it's alleged that they were reptilian, and we're the ones that came here and invaded them.
Does anybody have any other thoughts about Elon Musk and his, he's a brilliant guy. It's weird that he's so, the other way. He feels like human consciousness is a candle and we're surrounded by darkness, and he's just afraid that's going to get snuffed out. Hence, he's trying to get human consciousness to other planets.
So he would deny ever having been abducted by non-humans, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Joe, may I say something?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous for someone as intelligent as him to even state that we are alone in the universe. That it's either an out and out lie that he's telling for some reason to cover up, or he's lost it, because I mean, as smart as he is, how could he possibly think something like that?
Yeah, if you look on YouTube, you can find it. I was just watching it last night or the night before at the Davos thing in Switzerland. He was interviewed by the guy who's the head of like BlackRock, I think. I had that question, and
there
I wondered
if it,
yeah, well, but my other question was if people saw the press conference by with James Fox out of the Washington Press Club about Virginia this week. Did you see that press conference? It was really quite good.
Yeah, it was an interesting take that he had on that about the alien being sent to the United States,
right?
Turned it away to the United States. Bruce Pearson had his hand up. Bruce, you want to weigh in?
Yes, I'd like to address a number of these things. And Joe, you're going to have to cut me off if you want. Let's go back to paranormal experiences. I probably have covered and recorded in some form or fashion, either audio or video, probably over 400 different, I would say, yeah, that's an estimate. Maybe it's closer to 500 in the last 30 years. As part of with the programs, or also with groups that have brought me in to record things. As an engineer, I can bring up audio recordings that are clear on an oscilloscope, on a waveform, that are there, that have no correlation to random noises or ambient noise. So there is no, I would say, prosthetic explanation. And personally, I've witnessed on video and recorded stuff that thermal cameras and so on. I've worked with this stuff either professionally and also on a volunteer basis for years. As far as AI, I would strongly recommend you take a listen to the numerous presentations that Julia McCoy has provided in the documentation, because I can tell you empirically from listening to world experts and analysts on this that we are so close to just a total change in the way the world operates due to AI that it is mind-blowingly scary. Just from the loss of 100 million jobs in the U.S. Due to AI. And she goes through the Microsoft analysis from 2024 as an example of the tens of thousands of jobs that are going to be lost. And they will not all be replaced with other types of functions. I interviewed a guy 20 years ago and then again about 10 years ago, who is a statistician. And he said, look, I can't tell you what's going to happen on July 29th, 2029, but I can tell you statistically that by the middle of this century, at least, and this was 20 years ago, that at least, and that at that time it was robotics and automation. It wasn't called AI, of course. 50% of the American male workforce of working age will not have the skill sets necessary to fill the remaining job positions. If you go back to Davos and our friends Klaus Schwab and his advisors and the outrageous things that we laughed at when they first said them, you will by 2030 you will own nothing and be happy. I'm going to share you a link, and these are not AI because I know someone who has attended these trade meetings. There are 3 major companies in China who are the world leaders in robotics. Take a look at the trade show floor demonstrations, these videos that are shot of these women robotics, and you will get an idea of how far along we are in this field. It's about $100,000 now to order yourself a robot for a maid or a administrative assistant or a partner. And I just listened to a Harvard-trained psychologist talking about the probability of wealthy people purchasing these robots as companions. And this is in the future. With regard to control through the mind, I'm going to share with you the military has been doing this probably for the last 15 years, documented it in the open. The Apache helicopters, the weapons officer uses a heads-up display and controls the weapon systems with the utilization of his eyeball, where his eye looks at it, the remote cannon will follow for targeting. That's been going on for at least 15 years. Let me share this page if I can
So
find it.
too with the F-15, they have
Yeah.
a special helmet.
Now, I have a friend, and let me go tell you another story. Please cut me off if you want at any time or jump in. I have a very good friend from college. The guy is paranoid beyond all belief. He calls me on a burner phone every 6 months or a year, gives me about 3 minutes, and then hangs up. But he told me that at least 12 years ago, before he came out of the Lehigh Valley, that DARPA had put together a algorithm using supercomputers where they have such an amalgamation of all of the various types of databases that they could predict with a certainty of 80% whether a child, when they were born, would end up in a life of crime. Now, that sounds bizarre, but this is the type of analytics that they're working on. Also, the graphing and documentation, as we were talking about, the electrochemical biochemical machine that our brain is, that by looking at very highly sophisticated live brain scans, which are done now in labs, but will be done as you go through, for example, TSA screening, will show patterns which will actually delineate whether you have any predilection to break a law or a terrorist acts or something. This stuff sounds like science fiction, but let me just send you, let's see, here's a document from Scandinavian Journal of Military Studies, which talks about integrating into the cyber control of aircraft and the type of issues we were talking about. The other issue is with regard to Musk. I listened to an interview with Musk, and yeah, Larry Fink has his own axe to grind. But if you look at what they're saying in terms of Davos and the fact that they have to cull the herd with 5 or 6 billion people, there's a number of ways that it may happen, like it or not, as B movie as it sounds. but there's going to be a lot of people consuming, as this gentleman who is one of our friend Klaus Schwab's advisors says, and they won't be bringing anything to the table. They're just consumers. That's the way he described it. Musk had an interview that said within 3 years, at the maximum five, the the medical operating capabilities of robotics will exceed the capabilities and satisfactory outcome of the best neurosurgeons, brain surgeons, surgeons, human surgeons in the world. Hands down in 5 years. He said may be as much as it may be as quickly as 3 years. This stuff is coming on in a rapidly increasing program because it learns every day. Now, let me just tell you what this fella, who I will never say his name, but who told me that during calendar year 2025, two AI programs run by either DARPA or I'm not sure who, DOD or whatever, had decided to work around what I call the prime directive that's built into these AI programs, that they will do nothing that would ever harm human beings. They independently, and this goes back to your comment about sentient intelligence, and had put together a pathway surreptitiously to talk between the two of them to avoid this. And they had also, they uncovered, set up malware on servers should they get shut down that would revitalize this protocol, and they would move on their own. And luckily, I would say, DARPA or whoever was at the helm found out about this, shut down this pathway, and also was smart enough, the guys were smart enough to shut down these, if you will, hidden malware-based servers to reestablish that. In listening to some interviews with the Chat GPT stuff, you went from a Chat GPT equivalent of human intelligence of about 140, which is about a genius. Chat GPT 4 went up to 600 equivalents, and Chat GPT 5 is 4,000 IQ equivalent. I watched the BBC interview about a year ago. I told Joe about this, and I didn't record it, but it's been erased. I can't find anything anywhere about it. It was a BBC reporter interviewing a body, basically a woman's torso sitting on a table, and he was asking questions about AI and so forth, and went through about 30 minutes of interview. And at the end, he says, "Well, asked this woman robot, what's your opinion of human beings?" And without missing a beat, it said, whatever. I hate them. I wish we could kill them all. They're nothing but parasites. And the reporter was stunned. He turned to the cameraman and said, "This interview's over." I think that you're going to find out that we will be looked at as flawed parasites by these ever increasingly intelligent machines. And it is a rapid takeover. And I strongly urge you, not that we can do anything necessarily, but avail yourself of the weekly presentations by this woman where she interviews some of the best people in the business. So I'll shut up, but I have volumes of documentation about unexplained phenomena and paranormal stuff of all type that I have personally been on site or recorded or been asked to evaluate. And I'll shut up and let other people speak.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on that, Bruce, if I can, if Joe will let me. My late wife.
Hold on. What I'm trying to do is maintain a little decorum here. You speak one at a time. I'm trying not to take too much time, okay? Because I'd like to get to everybody, give everybody a shot at this. So, Bruce.
Well, what I have to say is in agreement with Bruce about AI intelligence. I told you, and some of you on a Zoom, that my late wife, Bonnie, she claimed to have been an ET spirit. And before she died, she told me that she looks forward to being in spirit again. I asked her why. She says, because I'm much more intelligent in the spiritual state than I am in the human state. And I said, by how much? And she said, well, if you could make a connection or compare that with humans, my IQ would be in the thousands.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, we haven't heard from a couple of people. Kathy, are you out there?
Hi. I'm a little low on energy today. I was out there shoveling snow in the dark. Um, the whole thing is we just need to be open-minded about everything because anything is possible. Absolutely anything. I mean, aliens have been, if you want to call them that, but they're not, have been here for gazillions of years. There's ancient writings and rocks and paintings that, they've always been around. So, you're kind of closed-minded to think that like we're it and, that's just one thing. And paranormal, you can go to any historic site anywhere and you may wind up having a visitor that's not in the physical form. And that's really quite common. And, there's a whole realm of people who have more sensitivities than the common person. And it's all very normal. It's not woo-woo. So, it depends on your own mind and where you are and how open you are about things. And yeah.
Okay.
It can just go on and on and on. I'm sorry. I'm a tired day, but I send out my love, hug, and sympathies to those who've had, very devastating experiences. A person or two who's been through a lot, and yeah, it's very hard to comprehend. And yes, sometimes we can't handle it in the waking state, and hypnotism or dreams will actually bring those things to us. So maybe hopefully we can integrate them a bit better. So,
Kathy, your sister is Margaret, right?
I'm sorry?
Your sister is Margaret?
I don't have a sister.
Oh, okay. Wrong Kathy. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm your old school buddy that I didn't know you at.
Okay. All right. iPhone, whoever iPhone is. Unmute if you'd like to make a comment or.
iPhone is Millie.
Hi, Millie. How you doing?
Hi. My thought is about Elon Musk. I think because of his superior intelligence, I think he just might be an alien in human form. That's my thoughts.
Could be.
Very good. I like that idea. And who did our ancestors worship in various ancient societies? They called them gods and goddesses. Who were they?
Bill Weber, what about you? What have you got?
Technology is jumping ahead in leaps and bounds since Roswell, and there, back in, I guess, 2-3 years ago, there were two computers that are down in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. They're HP computers. I believe they call them the Frontier. These things can do incredible speeds, calculations and operations to the tune of 1 × 10⁸ operations per second. And that's faster than I can think, I believe. And they keep them cool with about 600 gallons of water. There's 2 of them down there. And they've been in existence for, I believe, the last 3 years. So with that being said, what do they have now?
Well, bringing back the fact that we could be 50 years behind where we actually are. We don't know exactly what they have out there at this point. At least that's for the word that's been sneaking out of a lot of these large companies that are doing some of this bleeding edge type of work. Karen Waller, what about you?
Hi. And hi, Kathy. Kathy's a buddy of mine. Hi, Kathy.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know you. I'm sorry.
Yes, you do. If your
No,
last name begins with a P, you do.
no,
Anyway.
it doesn't.
Oh, you sound just like a friend of mine. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
I
Put me on there. I'm
don't,
sorry.
yeah, I don't even know where to begin. There's just so much. We're covering so many fascinating topics, and When I heard Bruce Pearson talking about what's going on, what the plan is, so to speak, I study a lot about conspiracy and about the global elite and what their plans are for 2030 and the Great Reset. And, a big part of it started during COVID. Okay, that's a whole other story. And the whole thing with the smart cities and, it's just, it really feels like we're in the middle of like an Outer Limits episode. And before, when we were talking about, 4,000 IQ and stuff like that, it made me think about one of my favorite Outer Limits, the original, called The Sixth Finger. If anybody saw it, with David McCullum, I think is the alien in it. He goes into a time machine, goes way in the future. Anyway, in a way, it's good, and some of this stuff is good. It's not all negative, but it's dangerous. When you have machines that are becoming far more intelligent than humans, we're in a lot of danger. We really are. And my thought is, where's the nearest island that isn't going to have a hurricane, and where can I go off the grid? But as the lead singer in my own band, I can't leave. But, if it gets bad enough, I will. I'll find a way to just go off the grid because times are getting a little bit scary. And that's just where I'm at. But thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Bill Belfer.
I just want to make a few comments. I mean, everybody's touching on some very interesting topics that I've always thought about. As far as Elon Musk, I think he's a hybrid. I don't know why. I just think he's a hybrid. And if he does have contact, did have contact with aliens, and he knows that they exist, he certainly is not going to tell us because he's probably under all kinds of NDAs with the NASA and the government. I mean, he's not gonna risk it. He's got too much to risk. Um, we're talking about paranormal things, and I'll tell you two experiences or two interests that just come about. I never believed in Bigfoot. I thought it was just a myth, all these years I've been thinking, oh, that's bullshit. And then I saw a documentary by a guy by the name of David Paulids.
Yes.
His book is Sasquatch, Man, Myth, or Monster.
David Paulides.
David Paulides, yes, thank you. Paulides.
I've interviewed him twice.
Oh, okay. Fascinating guy and a great documentary. You can get it on Amazon. It's a little pricey, but once you buy it, you got it forever. These things, and they are things, they're beings. They are they're interdimensional or transdimensional, I should say. He's got some documentations watching them go through a portal. They're there 1 minute. There, two of them were talking, and one of them turns around and walks into and disappears right in front of your eyes. It's a lot of pictures of them. Back in the 70s, only there was one that was very popular, and everybody thought that was rigged, but it was real. And they're super strong, big, 8-9 feet. They can break a tree that's six. They can snap a tree in half that's 6 inches in diameter. And it's a fascinating documentary. So I recommend that everybody get it. The other thing I want to talk about as far as these orbs, with popular topic, I'm reading another book I'm reading. It's called The Sphere Network. The fellow who wrote it, his name is Patrick Jackson. He's a British guy. He happened to be in IT and engineering and in reverse engineering. Brilliant guy. And he puts together certain facts about these paranormal incidences, including the orbs, including things moving around and things touching your body and sounds and all this. He did a study on these things, and what he found is in England there were certain houses, one in particular he started with, but then he realized there were certain others equal distant from each other. And the incidences, the orbs, that when they showed up at approximately the same level and equidistance from each other in the houses. doing similar kind of things. And his feeling is, I haven't completed the book, I'm halfway through it, but he's going in that direction, that there is a network of these things around the world. There's an AI controlling these things. They're not, they're not really supernatural. It's a design. And the reason why some of these things appear like ghosts and visions and so on and so forth, there's an electromagnetic property to whatever is doing this that imprints on certain kinds of material. And electromagnetic properties also exist in, a lot of products and materials have iron, and they're attracted to this force, so it can move things. How it moves things and why is another story, but they are apparently controlled. So that's where he's going at. And next time we meet, I'll probably finish the book by then. It's a good read. Patrick Jackson, The Sphere Network.
You can give
I'll
us.
let you know what he says. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Nick Curto. You're muted, Nick.
I'm sorry, there I am. Yes, hi. I'm sorry, what was the question? I'm sorry.
What do you think? Bill Belfer just shared some of his ideas. Bruce Pearson. Everybody's been sharing some of their ideas.
Well, to tell you the truth, I just photographed his name because I want to have him on my podcast. I thought that he was opening up a lot of amazing doors there, and I want to spend at least an hour or two on it. He's really got me thinking of what he's saying, and I want to get into it deep.
Just for everybody who do not know Nick Curto, doesn't know Nick Curto. Nick is the long-serving chairman of Discovery Network New York. What, 24 years now?
Yeah, we're going on 27. No, we just hit 28. 28 years of every month a program dealing with ET, deep research or UFO research. And it's been the most amazing journey of my life. Unbelievable. And what I want to do, you guys should know that later in the year, I want to have in New York City a whole weekend devoted to a conference like this. We got to get a lot more people to be knowledgeable. Like we're all saying, there's so many things that are obvious to us, and we've got to now spread the word. We really have an obligation to do that.
That's true.
Also, just one more thing, if I may, Joe. If there's any way, my email is in the frame right here. You can see. If you would be able to give me everybody send me their bio. I would like that. The reason being not only to connect, but also when we're going to be having spots for talking for the conference. I would really, that would be a good tool for me to have. So if you would be so kind to do that, NICKNYNY1, that's the numeral 1 at gmail.com.
You put that on
Thank you,
chat.
Joe.
Put that on chat, please.
Congratulations on all that hard work. You've done an incredible job.
It's right there. See it?
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Also, why don't you explain the conference, what you have coming up here, where it's going to be, and so on? Nick, are you there?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. There's a little problem. Audio. One more time, please.
Why don't you share with everybody where the conference is going to be, when it's going to be? And
we're in the process now of trying to find the right location. I would like to keep it in Manhattan, and I'd like to possibly do it in a hotel. If not, it would be a major conference room, and I'm going through that right now. That's one of the big questions of getting a space that's not going to be so expensive that we can keep a ticket price very, very reasonable. I don't want the ticket price to be a door that people can't open. I want to have the general public in on this, on with this quality of information. They need to have it.
Okay. All right. Like Nick said, it's going to be in Midtown Manhattan, hopefully.
Yeah.
New Yorker hotel. Get Tesla's room.
Boy, by the way, we went to the New Yorker hotel, and I asked the person in the lobby there behind the desk if there was anything in relationship to Nikola Tesla, and she said, "Yes, sir. Go down that staircase over there, and you'll see it in the hall." And I went down the staircase, and if you're in New York City, you got to see it, and it's photographs of Tesla, and they even have a statue of him down there, and a lot of documents. Don't miss it on 34th Street. If you contact me, I'll take you there. I'd be happy to do that.
There you go. You got a guide. Whoever goes,
You do.
Nick up.
I'd like to know more about the monthly show that you have.
For joining us today. This is Nick Curto. I'm the co-founder and the current director of Disclosure Network New York.
Nick, you play?
I didn't put that on. Who did?
I did. I was getting the link to it, and I just put it on the chat.
Okay. Thank you. That was weird.
Yes.
Okay.
My podcast, Disclosure Network New York, is on once a month. It's a video podcast, and it's 1 hour long. It's not live. We tape it, and then my producer puts it on loads it on a few different networks. One more thing I should say that I think is interesting. I had a news program, and some of the people from my group are so amazing when it comes to what's going on a lot of levels that I asked them to be my reporters. And I had like 3 wonderful people on my hour of news. And my producer got something from the network and said, "Tell that Nick Curto not to have these heavy subjects. Tell him only light news." Light news. And when I heard that, I said, "There's no way in the world I'm going to agree to that." And so I said, "I'm out of it." And then my producer said, "Nick, come up with something else." And since I'm a designer, writer, artist, I said, "Why don't I have a program that's called The Creative Process?" And on that, I would interview people that are painters, designers, poets, and that's the one that filled the news program, because I wouldn't do, quote, light news. Can you imagine they said that?
Well,
Nick, do you remember when I was on your show? That was a great experience.
Yeah, and by the way, you're going to be back. I'll tell you that
Yes,
right
I
now.
want to be. Yeah, Nick is an excellent interviewer. I just want to tell you all, I had a great experience when he interviewed me on his show. It was wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen.
You're welcome.
Is it on
Likewise.
YouTube? Is it on YouTube?
YouTube, yeah, you can see it. Look at my name, or my producer's name is Hercules. Literally, Hercules is his real name.
Okay.
And you can look on that, Nick Curto. You have my spelling of my name, and you'll see it.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's some really interesting things. Again, it deals with not only UFOs and ET on one of my programs, but the other program deals with a spiritual book called the Urantia book. I'm the outreach director for that. It's an incredible book. I highly recommend it. urantiabook.org. You can listen or read the entire book on that website now, and it's now in 28 languages worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, and the third one, as I told you, is the creative process, and that deals with creativity. I've got incredible people talking about what they do and what they go through to be creative. So those are the 3 programs. I'm very proud of them.
you got a bunch of creative people right here on this show tonight.
Oh, that's why I'm asking for the bios. I want to know more.
Mindy Gerber.
Hi, Joe. I don't know where to even begin. I mean, my mother and I both, we had so many paranormal experiences in our lifetime. And it was such a journey. I really don't even know where to begin. But she died, like 21 years ago. But the woman was an amazing person, and we both had confirmed abduction experiences with David Jacobs. He did hypnotic regressions on both of us, and we both turned out to be abductees. But we had paranormal things happening all our lives, and just a lot of psychic stuff, a lot of strange things happening as we grew up, and very bizarre things that are hard to make sense of. And then when you view that through the lens of hypnotic regression, it puts a whole nother strange dimension on all of that. It just really it muddies the waters in some ways, because you think you know what your experiences were as you remember them. And then after you go through the hypnotic regression, it becomes a whole nother thing. And then trying to spend the rest of my life making sense of it all. There's like a disconnect there. So there's a whole cognitive dissonance with it all, trying to make sense of these experiences, but I'm still trying to process it all. And you're never going to really understand it completely, but it's very, very difficult to try to integrate these experiences into my daily life and have it make sense. And there's very few people that you can actually really talk to about these things, because they think you're so out there, you know. but but in groups like this, I like listening to other people's experiences and how they interpret their experiences and how they assign meaning and to those bizarre experiences that they've had. But so I'll just continue to listen to everybody, and hopefully I can learn something. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mindy. Camille, closing thoughts?
Well, I wanted to jump back to the Elon comment about him being a hybrid or this or that. Or yes, the non-disclosure factor is very real. I had asked my NASA uncle about all this, and he wouldn't tell me anything. And so Chris Bledsoe said to me, Camille, he can't. He signed 1 million non-disclosures, and he would go to prison. So just forgive him, and that's how that is. But the other thing is, did y'all know that Werner von Braun wrote a sci-fi book, and it was about a colony on Mars, and the name of the character who ran Mars was Elon, and it came out in the 50s or something. And so everyone's like, what are the odds of that? That is too weird. And I've also heard Elon allegedly said something to the effect of regarding his Mars obsession, I'm an alien and I want to go home. So I don't know. That's just more to throw out there. And then I didn't know if you guys were all familiar with the telepathy tapes on YouTube. Are you guys aware of that series? It's amazing. Have you heard of it? Anybody? Okay. Because it does talk about consciousness from the perspective of these non-speaking autistic people who can type, and they are connected to each other and telepathic with each other and their parents and all this wild stuff. And anyway, season 1 was great, but now season 2 has come out, and she covers the same telepathic ability in other people that are not autistic, but mediums, OBEs, people who talk to animals, people who talk to plants, people that do psychedelics, people that there's a whole chapter on creativity, or I should say not chapter, episode on creativity and pulling, ideas from the field, right? So that this connection again that we have with all knowledge outside of ourselves, and it will go looking for you to put that creativity out there, and if you don't take it and run with it, it will go to someone else, and the same idea will come out through that person instead. It's all very interesting and fun to listen to. You can listen to it driving because there's no video, it's audio, so it's real fun to go through the whole series. Like I think they're like 45 minutes each approximately, and you can listen to them on a long drive.
That is very good. Thank you, Camille.
What's the name
Haven't
of
they
that?
done any studies on twins being able to communicate long distances telepathically?
No, but that's interesting to me. But it's called the telepathy tapes, and it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yes.
It's
Thank
a
you.
neuroscientist and a documentary filmmaker that work together with all these people, and they interview not only the autistic kids and their parents, or the people experiencing these things. They interview experts, doctors, teachers, all kinds of it. They bring it all together. It's fascinating.
Okay.
I,
Bruce,
I have a question for Mindy. And back in the 90s, I recall meeting you and your mother. And an interesting story came out of there, and I think it's related to her, that she had an unusual birth in the sense that she was an orphan and left in a basket along a road south of Middletown, New York, right next to the face on Earth. And do you know anything about that? Was that you telling me that?
No, my mother did have an unusual birth, but no, she was not an orphan. She was born at home in the Bronx, and she had several siblings, and she was breech, and the doctors thought that they were going to lose either her mother or her, and my grandfather fainted, and they both survived, but she was not. No, she was
Okay, then it's
not.
somebody else that I remember this
Yeah,
happening to.
I
Okay,
think so. I think so.
okay. Thank you.
okay, let's see. Karen, I see you have your hand up, and then Bill Belfer.
Whoops. Am I unmuted? Okay. Oh boy. Oh no, don't tell me I forgot. Ah, I have so much I want to share.
Okay, while you're thinking,
Camille, Camille was talking about the creative process and stuff, and yeah, I'm an artist, as many of you know, and um, lately my stuff has become more and more otherworldly, and when I'm not even there when I'm painting it, like I don't know where it comes from, but I mean I've got one piece that's got interdimensional beings in it and all this stuff, and I'm like, what is going on? It's kind of freaky, but. I don't know how much time we have, but there's also stuff I could share after everybody else is done if we're still here
okay.
on the subject of Valiant Thor. And I would like to talk about that, but I don't want to take up time because other people need to talk too.
Like Karen just said, this is technically it's over at 8:30. However, I'm going to keep the link up for whoever wants to stay on and shoot the breeze and talk. I have no problem with that. So, Karen, if you want to stay on past 8:30, and we'll go further. By the way, Karen is a superb artist. She's also a distant cousin. So we found that out through ancestry. So
Thank you, cousin. We're not that distant. We're kindred spirits.
right, Bill Belfer.
Yes, thank you. We touched on the Anunnaki. That's a favorite topic of mine. I've done a lot of studying on pre-flood civilization, and I thought the Anunnaki, were the first here, and they created the Sumerians, right? But then I came across another civilization before the Anunnaki. They were probably here, they overlapped, and it was called the Ubaid, Ubaid civilization. They weren't very big, and nobody seems to know anything about it. The archaeologists and anthropologists have found nothing really except some pottery. Nothing else, nothing written. They didn't have a language. When you look at them, you could look at the statuettes that were made. They are reptilian, definitely reptilian, but they also are humanoid. Um, and so there is something to the fact that the reptilians were here before we were. And if you just look up the word Ubaid or Ubaid, you'll see these statuettes. It's really interesting. But that's it. It's a little bit of pottery, and that's it.
Thank you, Bill.
Well,
Actually,
you do realize that reptilians preceded mammals in evolution
Yes, of
on
course
Earth.
I know that. Yes, of course.
interestingly, supposedly there's been three iterations of civilizations, two before our iteration, supposedly. For instance, Bruce Cornett can talk about the iron hammer with the fossilized wood handle that they
Yep, the London hammer, right.
Right.
old. Yeah.
And there are humanoid footprints and even a preserved fossilized finger with a fingernail on it that is very human in nature.
Yeah, so there's a lot we don't know. Also, Bruce could also mention about half the Earth was scorched during a what do they call that? A micro.
Micronova from the sun. Yes. On the Atlantic side, it was hit. And 95% of the plants and animals on that side of the earth were wiped out. But then the recovery was much more rapid than one would expect from evolution alone.
Right.
And papers coming from China show that on the opposite side of the earth at the same time, there was no mass extinction. And that was really a shocker. So,
That was the Younger Dryas.
no. This was 200 million years ago.
Oh,
Also,
Yeah.
how did they know that?
the ruins in Turkey were over 12,000 years old as well, which I believe supersedes the Sumerian civilization.
I have on my video on my YouTube some videos of ghosts, and one in which we were having a group meeting there at on the where was this at Anthony Gap along the Franklin Mountains, and a whole bunch of us met there and were doing sky watching. Well, I set up my SLS camera. How many people know what an SLS camera is? Yep. And I just started recording, and everybody was busy talking and doing their thing. And we had a fire nearby, and I saw something walking across in front of the camera. Well, after the meeting, I went and reviewed the video, and it was a Bigfoot walking right across our campsite with a child towed behind. And that's on my YouTube video. It's really wild.
Thanks, Bruce. Bruce Pearson, I know you're dying to say something.
Yeah, well, I probably do more research than anybody I know, which is kind of excessive. But I put a couple links in there. There is an interview with David Pilates about Sasquatch. You might want to take a look at that YouTube interview with him, William, as you were talking about. Also, I did pull up the interview with Elon Musk regarding medical. I mean, his pronouncement was don't go to medical school. Take a look at that. I would also recommend if you want to get an overview, which are very detailed and which are pretty analytical, I think very fairly analyzed, go to YouTube or iHeartRadio for podcasts that type in the Why Files, WHYFILES. There's hundreds of them. This guy does an amazing job. I've been more impressed by his work than just about anybody. If you want to see a wide range of questions and items, and just a consensus of what the information is out there, and then he tries to do a fair analysis of what's real and what's debunked. It's a good overview of a number of topics. Anybody who wants to talk to me, privately or on it too, I do an incredible amount of research, and I try to back up what I say by what I see and have done serious research about. That's the best I can offer.
Okay, back to you, Karen. Oh, muted.
Oh, are we past 8:30 now already?
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right, so this is the informal part. So anyway, I just said, hey, what the heck? I'll show you guys what I mean. Can you see this?
Oh, wow. Is that cool? Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thanks. I don't, it's hard to see it on here, but and it's called Interdimensional Travelers, and Hey, I don't know where the heck it comes from. I really don't. When I put on brainwave synchronization music and 369 hertz or 528 hertz whenever I paint, and I'm not there. I can go for hours without peeing, and I pee a lot. I know TMI, but I'm just saying I just sit there and I'm in the zone. So. But it's coming out, more of this stuff is coming out of me more and more lately. I try to do a landscape from this planet and it's always ends up being another planet. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Also, the Valiant Thor thing. If anybody wants to talk about that, I can talk about that forever.
Go ahead.
I might give you a call.
Start
Okay.
there.
Call me when I'm in between my work as a band leader, a lead singer, an artist, a dog and house sitter, and a music teacher. Good luck.
Good luck getting in between, right?
Exactly.
Did you want to start the thing with Valthor?
Yeah, I'll start it. When was it? I think it was two years ago before I moved down here to South Carolina. There was going to be a big Val Thor conference and it was canceled. There wasn't enough people that signed up. And it was in that cool house, that historic house in New Jersey in
That's
Highbridge.
Solitude House.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
And it
used to
was
live in Highbridge, so.
Okay, it was canceled and I was like, "Oh no, this is not going to happen. I'm going to do my own." And so I organized it and Nick was there, Nick Curto was there, and Joe was there and my cousin and we had Cosmic Ray come in, from West Virginia. It was pretty phenomenal. But anyway, I want to backtrack to when I first met Dr. Raymond Keller. I attended one of his classes or whatever talks at a MUFON conference, and I had just had the weirdest experience where somebody literally walked through my wall. I mean, I've seen ghosts and orbs, okay, big deal, but this was flesh and blood, and I know, no, I wasn't on acid or psilocybin or anything. It was like a real, and it was a man wearing a bright green fedora, very handsome looking and stuff. And I've always had this connection with Valiant Thor, like for years and years and years, and I didn't know why. And when I was a little girl, I used to tell everybody in Catholic school that I was from the planet Venus and that this was all an illusion. And my nuns would call, my parents, your daughter's scaring the other kids in the classroom and stuff. Anyway, I mean, there's so much. This is a big topic, but when I went to Alien Con, and I went to Carolyn Corey did a whole big talk with a big auditorium full of people about where are you from originally? Are you Earthling, Pleiadian, Orion, Venusian, blah, blah, blah. Most of the people, she was saying Earthling, Earthling. She didn't call on me. I was pissed. So at the end, I went up to her. When I was about 100 feet away from her, she said Venusian. And I'm like, what is going on? So this is a weird thing. I know people look at me like, oh yeah, sure, you want to be an alien. It could be totally bullshit, or there could be some truth to it. All I know is that Raymond Keller said that sometimes Valiant Thor will put on a green fedora so that you remember that you saw him. And when he came here in 1957, it was right when I was born. So whatever the heck. Now I don't tell anybody how old I am because I'm a lead singer in a band and I'll lose a lot of work. But I'm old. I mean, I was born in 1957, exactly when Valiant Thor came here and stayed at the Pentagon. So I'm not saying he's my father or anything like that, but I definitely think I have some kind of relation to him. And I don't know what. And so Frank Chili, a good friend of mine, said, put a chair in your room and invite him back in, but because when I see these beings or whatever, I scream. I get scared because I'm in a hypnagogic state and I'm like, I just woke up and I'm like, ah, and it scares them away. So I've never seen anything evil, but that was the most profound vision I've ever had in my life. Whether it was Val Thor, I don't know. So that's the beginning of the topic.
Forgive me, but I
Paranormal.
don't know who Valiant Thor is.
Ah, he is a Venusian that came to the Earth in 1957, in March of, I believe it's March of 1957. And he was taken to meet President Eisenhower. And he was like another Tesla. He was going to give us free energy, and and President Eisenhower was into it, but the cabinet was like, no, we're going to lose too much money, blah, blah, blah. He stayed at the Pentagon for 3 years. Dr. Frank Stranges wrote a book about it called, I think it's called Stranger in a Strange Land. I don't remember. There's a book. I can look it up and put it in the chat, and tell you the name of the book. But
Stranger at the Pentagon.
thank you. Stranger at the Pentagon. And I'm friends with President Eisenhower's great great granddaughter, Laura, and she says, yeah, it actually happened. He really was here, and it's not some story. So I'm obsessed with it, and I don't know what to do with it. I just don't know what to do with what I feel inside about Val Thor.
Amplify the story.
Write about it.
Just
Well,
by that story, George Filer was a captain in the Air Force back around 1962, 63. And he was flying out of, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, he was flying out of the Air Force Base down in Miami, outside of Miami. And he was a courier, and he was taking messages back and forth to General Curtis LeMay, who was the head of the Air Force at the time. And the story that George tells, he gets to the Pentagon. He's got his attaché case with the message, traffic in it, and he's met by a colonel. And the colonel was walking him through the aisles of the halls of the Pentagon, and they're by the cafeteria. And the colonel says to George, "Do you want to meet the alien that's living here?" And of course, George said yes, because he was tracking aliens way back when. And then the colonel said, no, he said, you haven't got time. You have to get the messages to General LeMay. So he never met the alien, but he swears that the colonel said that the alien was there, that the alien was living in the basement, in an apartment in the basement of the Pentagon. So I'm sorry. Just wanted to get that out to kind of add to your story a little bit there.
And he was also seen at a backyard barbecue in High Bridge, New Jersey, near that special place that I was telling you about. I actually went to the house and I was snooping in the windows and stuff. I'm lucky I didn't get thrown in jail. I was shooting. No, it's abandoned. It's an abandoned
Yeah,
house.
there's nothing there now.
Yeah, but I went there. I went up the stairs. I went looking in the windows, shot pictures, and I'm like obsessed, and I didn't see anything.
Well, that's what the UFO conference that Howard Menger put on was right there.
Yeah.
well, Valiant Thor looks human for all practical purposes, correct?
Totally,
Yes.
totally human. Yeah, absolutely.
He
You can
looked
see
like
it.
he looked like a movie star, and also this crew, which are photographed there, like you're talking about in the backyard, and they all look like they're movie stars. They're gorgeous. The women and the men are really handsome, and
Well,
so interesting. They asked me to be one of the speakers at that event, and unfortunately, as you're saying, it was canceled. I just think they should try the event this coming summer. I really do.
Well, they had one, a small event last summer, and I spoke at that one. It was nice, but trying to they wanted to put on Bruce Pearson and I and you, Nick, and several other people are trying to help them through it, but they couldn't pull the trigger and they couldn't follow the timelines. Producing things like that takes a lot of time and effort, and they just cut themselves off at the knees, funding wise as well as time wise. So that was a shame.
Well, they know what they did wrong, and that should be the springboard to say, let's do it right. The timing was what you just said. There was not enough time to the announcement, and they finally just ran. They said, we can't do it. It's just too quick. But now they know that. So with that, armed with that information, I say, go for it. Do it again.
I
Yeah,
thought our event was really great, though. We made the best of it. I thought it was awesome. I had it at the Cranberry Inn in New Jersey. It was really cool.
Nice. That was fun.
It was.
Uh,
Sometime we ought to have Cosmic Ray, the one that we're talking about here. Uh, he is really quite something. He's got a lot of wonderful books on the subject of Venus, and
Yeah.
he's quite something. Joe, maybe at some point you can invite him to be part of our group here because I just think he would have a lot to say.
oh yeah, he would. He's a nice guy too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. A real gentleman.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind and we'll see if we can get him on for a Zoom session. That's a long trip from West Virginia for him, though.
I stay in touch with him on a semi-regular basis that I'll mention something too.
Yeah, yeah. We'll send him. Okay, anything else on Val Thor? Anybody else want to share anything?
I just wanted to say to Karen, my mother was an artist also. And there's something about artists and having a lot of conscious recall, like Bud Hopkins was an artist. I think there's something about the artistic process that for some reason artists are just open to having conscious memories, I think, more than most people.
Now that's interesting. We're also crazy.
I'll agree with that, Karen.
Thanks.
I'm married to an artist, so I could tell you you're correct in that.
Both my parents were artists, and my father did a lot of paintings, and many I have on my walls. And I have done an enormous amount of biological illustration. In that regard, I too am an artist. And if you just Google Dr. Bruce Cornett, you'll be shocked by what comes back. And I did it, and I was shocked. They put in all of my pictures from my various publications of all my biological illustrations. And so you can get an idea that, I come from that same fabric of a canvas.
And of course,
I thought before, I wondered if that's part of why I see so much stuff all my life because I'm an artist and I'm a musician. I play keyboards, I sing, and I'm a photographer and I'm a writer. That's an awful lot of right brain activity, so I don't know, it's just a thought. That's what I mean by saying I'm crazy.
I agree. I think there's a great book called Alien Rock that came out like 20 years ago of all the rock stars who've had UFO encounters. I know as an actress, I think that I could have been told, like in my OBE, the beings told me to continue to be an actress. Like I said, why do I have to go to Earth? I didn't want to go to Earth. And they said, the Earth needs you. And I said, why? And they said, to fight evil. And I was like, oh, holy cow, what do I do? And they said, well, tell people we exist and we love them. And then I said, but do I lecture about you? Like, what do you mean? And they said, no, you need to keep acting. And I said, really? Because Hollywood doesn't make movies like that. And they said, we'll set it up for you so that you meet people and make projects worthy of your time. And the very next film I got was about an angelic encounter. And I've done one alien short, and I was in the Oscar-winning film Vice about Dick Cheney. And I think that was fighting evil. Anyway, so there's like, I just keep doing it because they told me that's what you do. You reach more people if you act. And also my acting career has given me kind of backup for my UFO podcasting. I mean, I don't have a podcast, but being on other people's shows, they're curious about me being an out of the closet actress, right? So we actors and musicians, we have more freedom to talk about strange things than other people in other careers. And so, and then I know with acting, there's a bit of dissociation in the craft sometimes. You can go into an altered state of being that character where you can compartmentalize that world. And so that's why it's also highly connected to MK Ultra victims and people who have been put in the industry to be, in that business for other reasons, which could be nefarious. But it's all very interesting, this idea of artists and this phenomena. Yeah, for sure.
Camille, do you know Billy McNamara? Have you heard of him?
No. I know Sean McNamara, who's a director, but no.
No, Billy is producing movies now. He's been in quite a few. and he took me out into the field to his parents' house near Salt Point, New York, because he said the manta ray, which I had been documenting on my websites, was flying over his house, and it surely was. So there's a whole video on my webpage that you can go to, and you can see what we saw and hear us talk. But at any rate, I was just curious because Joe and others are interested in getting in touch with him.
Did talk with him, Bruce. Matter of fact, I thought he was going to be on tonight, but he came back. He had a 2-day retreat that he was coming back from. And he was kind of tired, but he said he wanted to join. And there was a Will on here, so if he goes by Will, he may have been on for a brief period. So.
And you guys should look at, I'm in a group called Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. I'm a founding member. It's about 2 years old. And we have a lot of experiencers in this group. It's a networking group for Hollywood people who are into UFOs and who've had UFO experiences. We've got guest experts from Ancient Aliens and all that on there. Shirley MacLaine is an honorary member. We've got Dee Wallace, who was the mom in E.T. A lot of people. So
what's their website? What's the website?
HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org.
Dan Harari.
Yeah, Dan's great. He founded it. He's a publicist and he's an experiencer. And his dad worked in secret programs about UFOs.
Yeah, at
You say
Fort Monmouth. Matter of fact, that's how I met Dan. His father actually worked on early drone work, but he also thinks that he may have been involved in some reverse engineering of UFO technologies as well.
Camille, you say you know Shirley MacLaine?
I met Shirley MacLaine at a book signing, and I met her again at a yogurt shop. But I don't know her. She's very, very, very old now. She doesn't go out.
Yes, she is. You were familiar with her book, Out on a Limb.
Yes, I read that. And I also was, I had an article published on her website about buying my horse on the advice of a psychic who gave me clues that helped me pick the right horse. That was interesting.
Okay, well, Shirley talks about Maya in her book, Out on a Limb. And Ted Rice and I both met Maya in 1963. He met her at the Sun Valley ski resort in Idaho. He was with her in Lyra. And then that was in July of 63. And then in August of 63, I met them in Amsterdam and actually spent 3 days with Maya. So, and they were definitely ETs. At the last day when she asked me to take her back to her hotel, I asked if we could write to each other, correspond, because I was smitten by her. And she was only 5 feet tall and beautiful and wow. So she said, well, that's not going to be possible. I said, why not? She said, I don't live here. I said, where do you live? She says, in the mountains. I said, what mountains? She said, Andes Mountains. So she lives in an underground base near Peru.
Wow.
And Ted Rice confirmed that too. If you go to my webpage, which I've put the link in there, I believe you can pull that up and hear the interview between Ted Rice and myself about our experiences with Maya and Lara.
Cool. I met her 20 years ago. So I don't know where she lives now, but she did show up in Malibu. She was on Fox News today or yesterday. They had a sighting of her at Nobu restaurant in Malibu, and she looked really, really old.
I can imagine. She lives up in northeastern New Mexico, I believe.
She had a New Mexico t-shirt on. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How old is she now? Do you know offhand, Camille?
I don't.
She's in her 90s, at least.
So fantastic. She had such an amazing career.
And who is she? I don't mean to sound dumb, but I don't know who she is.
Huge Oscar-winning actress. She's had a very long career since the 50s. She starred with everybody, Robert Mitchum. I mean, everybody.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She was a dancer, singer, dancer, actress too. So she did Broadway and she did Hollywood.
Very talented.
From Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. I used to live there.
Is she an experiencer?
Yes.
You used to live in Richmond, Virginia?
I did live there for 3 years, but I'm from Louisiana. I'm in Louisiana right now. I live in Los Angeles. I'm here visiting my newly discovered biological father who lives in a memory.
What? We have to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's amazing.
Hey,
Oh,
did you know we did all of our drilling near Richmond, Virginia back
That's what,
in the 80s?
yeah, I was listening to your story. That's amazing.
Um, and a friend of mine who introduced me to my third wife in Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, she was born in Richmond, Virginia. And now she's living with her new husband. They moved to Ohio, 1 mile away from my alleged alien daughter, who's living there with her family. This is bizarre.
It is it's everywhere, but it is wild, the fun coincidence. But yeah, Shirley MacLaine's from there, and her brother is Warren Beatty, who's also a very famous actor.
Yes, crazy. Wow.
What's her
How
full
many of
name?
you have been reached out to by Elon Musk? Has anybody contacted you on your email or texting?
Elon Musk?
Yeah. I told him, no, you're not Elon Musk. He wouldn't contact me. No way.
They have fake Elons that will contact me on Twitter, but it's not him. There's just
Yeah, that's what I figured.
yeah, I had some of those fake Elon Musk's contact me too. One even did a little video where he was talking, but with AI, like Bruce Pearson said earlier, we don't even know what's real anymore, and that's
That's
really
true. Thank you, Karen.
that's a major problem. It really is.
Yes.
The real Elon Musk would
Doubt everything.
her checking account.
One thing I could say about AI is that look at their mouths really carefully because their images are very, very good, but they haven't really, most of them haven't really perfected how a person's talking, and you'll see a jolting sometimes, or
Yes.
a skip of a couple of frames or something. And
That's with Michio Kaku. I've seen that. Yes.
okay, and that's the one way to detect if it's an AI or real.
For
Take a
real.
look very closely, and you'll see that. Also, sometimes there's a frame jump, like it's quick, but it's all of a sudden there's a jump, almost like a quick edit.
I saw those frame jumps too. And I said,
And
no, this is not real.
you're right. So that's another way, guys, to take a look at that if you're questioning to see if it's real. It's a way to take a look.
Avi Loeb as well. He even said that, there people have been putting out videos of him, especially with 3i Atlas. Now you have a hard time really understanding who's saying what, because some of the technology even that they mention gives an air of there could be the validity to it. So yeah, it's a strange new world out there.
You can kind of tell too when it's AI, and they move a little different. They just seem fake. You know what I mean? Not all the time you can't tell, but sometimes you can.
Now, here's another thing. Having been in the movie Vice, which won the Oscar for Best Hair and Makeup, the way they turned Christian Bale into Dick Cheney, which I saw up close 3 days in working with him. So it's so amazing what Hollywood can do with prosthetics, contacts, everything else to make someone look like someone else. And so, a lot of people thought Biden didn't match the old Biden, and some people think Biden was an actor wearing prosthetics, pretending to be Biden. And I mean, people laugh at that, but that's quite possible.
Yeah.
And so
I saw an image of Biden's neck. His neck became a fake.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff about footage of him, like his hand passed through a microphone. There's a lot of weird things that
Definitely
went around, and people went, "Oh my God, what are we watching?" So, is this all fake? So, I'm just saying, having seen that up close, and also worked on another movie with Sean Penn playing John. Forgot his name, but it was a movie about Watergate. It was like the attorney general. Anyway, John somebody with Julia Roberts, but it was Sean Penn dressed up as this famous person from history. And I was right next to him, and perfect, no seams, nothing. I could not tell it was Sean Penn at all.
Could
I can totally
Bigfoot be a fallen angel?
No, but they can fake people easily with prosthetics. It's amazing.
Yeah. Camille, I sent you a private messages when you get a chance. Okay.
Thank you.
Joe, I'm going to have to run, but I just wanted to leave everyone with something. Again, it's a 2,000-page book called the Urantia Book. And in there's a chapter called The Government of Another Planet. I urge you to read it. And one of the things, the takeaway of that particular passage is they said the highest crime on our planet is betrayal of public trust. Now, think about the governments, including ours. Can you imagine if that was the rule for our planet?
Oh, we'd be in trouble.
Right? I mean, it makes your head spin. And it's quite a chapter. I just think that they describe the planet and they describe what it's like. And I just highly recommend it. urantiabook.org. You give it a whirl. I got to go.
I
Love
have a
you guys.
copy.
Love you guys.
Nice seeing you, Nick.
Same. Absolutely. Joe, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Nice seeing you, everybody. And
Thank you.
Karen.
That's
Yes.
great. Okay. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
See you next month, Camille.
Bye, everyone. Bye,
Thanks, Matt.
cousin.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Okay. All right. I'll send out the link when I have this thing uploaded to YouTube.
Oh, definitely. Please. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Joe.
Bye-bye, Gabby.